This is not my line. This is her night line. Her line. It's fight night bitches.
December 1st, 2005, you surrendered. You went to Club Fed. I mean, first you went to an actual jail, and then somehow you got moved to Club Fed, which is, I guess, what you would say like a Martha Stewart type of jail.
Yeah, very similar to what I'd seen to Martha Stewart. And yes, I self-surrendered that day.
Yeah.
And trust me, I was not treated like any other person that was headed for a minimum security prison. When I came in, the first thing they did is grab me. I'd actually come in the day before, and my wife was there with me, and they wouldn't even let me kiss her goodbye. I mean, they dragged me through the metal detector, and it was toes and nose against the wall, and they handcuffed me and shackled me. And I mean, this was like, who knew what was going to happen from that point? And then they put you through psychological evaluation. I had a flu bug at the time. They put me in a room where it was freezing cold. And then eventually they took me over to what they call the SHU. And for people that don't know what the SHU is, that's the special housing unit where they put you for punishment. Okay, when you get in trouble, you go to the hole, you go to the SHU. So when I got in there, I didn't know what was going on other than, and this was probably on purpose, they left the lights on all night. So I was wearing an orange jumpsuit. They gave me a little thin mattress that didn't even have any padding in it. It was freezing. I looked outside. I was on the second story, and I looked out where you could see onto the yard, and all this is burned into my brain. And on the glass where the bars were, somebody had etched LA meth monster. And of course, there was etchings all over in the metal. So of course I couldn't sleep all night. I had this flu. The next day they literally feed you like a dog. They come and, you know, through a hole or a slot in the wall. And then I couldn't figure out, you know, why am I here? Why do they have me in this dungeon? Why are they? And I'd look out, you'd see this old guy walking up and down. You could hear the keys on his belt, you know, clanging, and they fed me, you know, like a hot dog cold with, you know, a little bag of mustard maybe. And then at like 6:30 in the morning, they came and got me, shackled me, handcuffed me. You got to turn around backwards to get out the door. They took me at the end of the hall and down in this little platform office, and these two women came in. Well, they were the two that were in charge of the prison. And all they wanted to know was, do you plan to talk to the media? Because we've had, you know, hundreds of requests of people wanting to come here and interview you, like the Dateline, like Ed Bradley from 60 Minutes, Martin Bashir, you know, all these people. And then they said, well, do you plan to talk to them? And I said, I could tell they didn't want me to. So I said, I don't plan to talk to anybody. No media. They said, what about your Asian girlfriend? She planned to talk. I said, no, she's very quiet. She's not going to talk to anybody. We're not going to say anything. They just were trying to scare me.
Yeah.
And then thereafter, they finally took me across to it was late at night. It was freezing. We were outside, and they put us all in a bus and had a little, I'll never forget, this was the craziest thing I've ever been through. We got inside this big van, and first she couldn't find the key to open the side door. I think it was her first night on the job. Finally, one of the inmates said, give me those damn keys, and took me and opened the door. We got in. Then we're getting ready to go, and she gets in, and she's revving up the car, and it's the van, and it's kind of lifting up and going back down and lifting up. And all of a sudden, one of the guys goes, take the parking brake off. Oh my God, where am I going here? So there's no fences. So anybody can leave anytime they want. They just walk out to the road, and their family picks them up. It was like a university dorm, A, B, C, D. So I was up on the second story in the D. There's no cell. It's just concrete blocks that are like 12 by 12 and 6 feet high. And there's either 2 or 3 guys in there. And they have a desk, and there's everybody has their own locker. And there's a 36-inch door. And anytime for count, you have to be there at like 10:30 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon and 10 o'clock at night. And they come and they count. Other than that, you pretty much get to go wherever you want to go. So
Wow.
what happened was the next morning, that Saturday morning, because I spent Friday night, no, I came in on a Thursday. So I guess it was Friday night I got there late. Thursday night I was in the shoe. So when I came out Saturday morning, here's this beautiful park setting. And so I look up and here's this big like billboard and it said sports complex, basketball, baseball, football, bocce ball, tennis, handball, soccer. I see all this. I'm like, wow. And so I kind of start walking over toward the rec center. And I go inside the rec center. There's 6 pool tables, 6 foosball tables. I hear music. Next thing you know, I go in this room. There's 30 guitars, 6 basses. They've got 3 studios with bands that played every Friday night on the compound so that we're rehearsing.
This is a jail?
So I come out, and some guys, they walk up and they recognize me because the night before I'd been on ABC Nightly News with Mark, because he was out in the front. When I first came in, they followed me in, the film crew, and they came up to him and they said, listen, if you don't turn around and go back outside immediately, you're going to be going to prison with him. So Mark's like, okay, I got to go now. So anyway, so yeah, some guys said, hey, we're going to go walk around the track. And I see all these guys, and they've got like little uniforms on, like little vests so you can tell whether you're blue or red. They got basketball tournaments. They got horseshoes. They got all these 500 guys are just playing all sports.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guys says, you want to walk around the track with us? I said, okay. So I walk around the track. So when I first get there, I get to the far side and I go, I said, are they smoking weed? He goes, yeah, you want some weed? I go, no, I don't want no weed. He goes, you want some coke? No. You want some blow? You want some steroids? No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to do anything bad. I don't want to. Well, come to find out, all this was available and more.
Oh.
So when they say club fed, trust me. And the reason is there's no fences whatsoever. And they got a couple of guards that walk around the place. So as soon as they get past where they are, the family members come in and they hide stuff under rocks. And then they wait and some guys watch where the guys are walking and they run out. Next thing you know, they got Nike tennis shoes, Oakley glasses, every kind of alcohol you want. $20 for 8 ounces. You want tequila, you want vodka, you want whiskey, you name it. Every Friday night, everybody's drunk, smoking weed. They got steroids.
Wow. Did you ever feel that when they would offer you things, they were maybe setting you up, trying to see if you take?
Trust me, I never did anything bad when I was in there. Well, they classified me as a sim inmate. That means that I'm, what's the name? It's like I'm being monitored.
Okay.
And so what they did is there was a guy, and I'll tell you, this is the craziest story. The first night when I got there, and I've actually talked to this guy recently, and I've seen him a couple times since then. But when they put me into the they don't call it a cellie there, they call it a cubie, because you're in a cube and the door is open. Anyway, so I put they got 2 bunks over here, and I had the low over here and a locker. So I was putting my mattress there, and all of a sudden the guy tapped me around on the shoulder, and I turned around, and here's this guy with a beard down to here, hair down to here. He's tattooed all the way from here, all the way down sleeve like this. And he looked at me and he said, I'm your new QB.
His name is Evil?
I thought I was doomed. I thought it was over. Anyway, it turned out that they had actually contacted him. They were afraid for my life being in there because I was kind of a marked guy.
Who's they?
Well, the prison. So what they did is they put me in with a guy who had spent a lot of time previously in prison in higher security, that had kind of been a shot caller, that knew if there was going to be some trouble or people were going to jump me or whatever might happen.
Aww.
So they put me in with kind of even though in a minimum security you really don't have a shot caller, but kind of the shot caller of the minimum security prison. and his nickname was Evil. Now, I've talked to him even in the last few days.
Oh, okay. So he's out? Is he out of jail?
Well, understand, that was in 2005. I got out in March of 2006. That's 14 years ago.
Well, is he still in jail?
No, he's out.
Okay. Were there any other celebrities or anyone well-known that you happened to be there or happened to be in Club Fed with you? Or
there was a couple. I'll tell you a very funny story. I wasn't there with him, so I was kind of the resident celebrity when I got there. And right before I got there, you know Cheech and Chong?
Yeah, of
Tommy
course.
Chong was in the exact same place that I was at. And he just got released, and he hung out with all the guys that I knew. So that night, he went on the Dave Letterman show. And Dave was going, hey, so Tommy, what's it like being in prison? Tell us. And he said, I tell you, Dave, he said that it was really a bitch. He said, it took me like at least 30 minutes a day just to get on the tennis court. And he got busted, if you remember, for selling bongs on the internet. Yeah. So everybody had pictures of them and Tommy, and you know, and of course he gets out in his first appearance, he goes on, and then they have different rooms like quiet room, Spanish room, news room, black television room, you know, and so we used to watch American Idol. Everybody would go to the room where they watched American Idol. You mentioned Kelly Clarkson earlier.
This is jail? That's so crazy. I mean, it's Club Fed.
Okay, so here's the next part. So then ultimately I started giving guitar and bass lessons.
I saw that.
I was teaching people Tower Power songs, and I had 5 or 6 students. And so, and they, of course, they didn't have electric, but they had an acoustic 4-string bass, and I would play the changes. Was teaching people guitar and bass for the 4 months that I was there. So I did get to play music, and you know, every day I would do my exercise routine and listen to jazz music, and it was very relaxful and peaceful, and you know, they know that this is not a real prison. Because after you get in there, within the first couple of weeks, they take you through what they call admissions and orientation. And whatever the guy's name was, some kind of a Polish name. And he said, listen, he goes, we know, you know, that they don't call this place Club Fed for nothing. This isn't real prison here. But if you act up, the real prison is going to be right next door, and we're going to roll you up and put you over there. So I was like a perfect nerd. Student of every rule, and I didn't want to ever go there again, or I didn't care what it was like. I had disappointed and hurt a lot of people, especially my family, and it really had a great impact and a lot of deep thinking, and I reread the Science of Mind book that I was in there, a 650-page book, and I was planning the second half of my life when I got out.
Did you ever feel guilty not for your family, but did you feel guilty for ever creating BALCO?
Of course, many people were damaged. I mean, it just that's something that is the hardest thing. It's difficult to forgive other people, but it's even more difficult to forgive yourself. And I felt, after all the names that I've been called, and you know, Dr. Frankenstein and Adolf Hitler of sport, who was attempting to create a new race of athletes, and the guy that had single-handedly destroyed Major League Baseball. I worked through all of that, and I realized that, you know what, we do live in a society of second chances, and I'm going to do my best to become a role model, and because a lot of people have made mistakes, and show them that you do have a second opportunity, and that you can be successful, you can be rich, and you can be happy after you've made those mistakes.